Good evening, race fans. It is Urban Pirate here with Black Flag Racing TV, and we are at the final round of the Lithuanian GR3 Championship, and it's round number 10 at the Green Hell. 7 laps of absolute carnage on one of the trickiest racetracks on the planet. And I'll tell you what, this has been some tournament from race number 1 all the way through. It really has been something very, very special we've witnessed this season, and it's been close as well. You know, nobody's really had it all their own way, apart from out front maybe, but across the racetrack we've seen some brilliant performances from lots of different people. And what we are going to do is have a bit of a recap about where we're at, etc. So we started out week number 1. We were at Barcelona, and great race there. Then we moved on to Spa, one of my favourite racetracks, onto Dragon Trail Seaside. Then week 4 we went to Fuji, and then from there to the Glen, Watkins Glen in the United States. Then across to Switzerland for Deep Forest Raceway. Then to Trial Mountain. Then to Monza. Then last week we went to Japan. We were at Suzuka, and this week it is the Nürburgring Nordschleife, the Green Hell. We have got 7 laps of that, and I'll tell you what, I've been looking forward to this race all season. But we need to have a think about what's happened to this stage. So when we started out in week number 1, Wendigo, very clear from the outset, he was very, very quick. Let's bring up the standings actually so you can see where we're at. That'd be a good idea, wouldn't it? So there are your current standings. Wendigo, he won the first 2 races. He was on the podium, should I say, for race number 3, race number 4, and race number 5, leading the championship at that stage by some way. Then it all seemed to go a little bit wrong for him in the second half of the season. He finished outside the top 3 every race since then, switched out his car to the RX Vision, and it hasn't improved his fare too much. Las Vidas came in on race number 5 and has picked up 4 wins on the trot on the 4 races he's competed in. But Simonas, we didn't see him until race number 3, and he has slowly churned out the results, giving himself some 3rd places, some fastest laps, some 2nd places. Then last week, no Las Vidas, and Simonas wins the race. And for the first time this season, Wendigo not leading the championship. So where we stand today is that Simonas leads this championship going into this final race by 6 points over the and for me, who I had him as favourite to win this pretty much all the way throughout, is Wendigo. He's 6 points behind. Now if he wants to win today, the job is very simple: win the race, do that part of the job, and hope that Simonas and Las Vidas finish behind him, really. And I think Las Vidas actually could come into play here. He can't win the championship, Las Vidas. He cannot do it. Not enough races left, even with the maximum 25 points plus fast up to 26 points. He can't win this. He can break his way into the top 3. But for me, I think it is between Simonas, Wendigo, King Bob, and Guy for those top 3 spots. We've got a couple of car changes today. Las Vidas, who missed last week, is swapping out the Mazda RX Vision. He has opted to switch to the Porsche 911 RSR for this track, which is not a bad shout actually. And Rollins has dropped his McLaren for the BRZ here. So 2 very strong cars for this track. Really I've been looking forward to it. All this entire 10 weeks I've been looking forward to this one, to be honest. I haven't done a track guide for Nordschleife for 2 reasons. One, it's an 8-minute lap, and I would crash an awful lot during that time. And number 2, we're going to do an onboard during qualifying with a couple of guys. So basically, because qualifying is, you've got sort of 15 minutes or so for qualifying. The problem you're going to have here is that you literally have only really 1 shot at qualifying. You don't really have many opportunities to do better. Because it's such a long lap as well, you really have to be on top of it and dial this lap in. And the thing is, there's going to be people that are stronger in different parts of the lap than others, and that's going to be key. It's going to be quite difficult to overtake. I think most of the overtakes are going to be done pretty much from mistakes. But rundown of point scoring system. It is 25 points for a win. It is 20 for second place. It is 18 points for coming in third. Then we go down to 14, 12, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And 1 point for the fastest lap. So, for Wendigo to win this championship, it is very simple. Win this race and hope that Las Vidas splits him and Simonas. Or win this race with fastest lap. That would, obviously, it would then depend how well Simonas performs, of course. But he basically needs to finish 6 points ahead of him. The problem we've then got, of course, is that I don't know what the situation is for a draw. I would imagine it would go down to race wins. And if that were the case, and Wendigo does win today, he would have 3 wins to Simonas' 2. If it came down to podiums, I don't know, because Simonas has been on the podium in every race he has competed in. Every single one. He has not been outside the top 3 in the 6 races he has raced in. He used a couple of tokens for the first 2 races that he couldn't make. And thank you, Armanis. It's going to be a really good race. Really looking forward to this one. And yeah, we do wish everybody good luck here. Imagine it is going to be a strong finish. So, in terms of what happens here, so there are prizes up for grabs. If you, the winner of this tournament will take home €50. But more importantly than that, they will be able to claim themselves to be the best GT driver in Lithuania. €50 for the winner, 45 for second, 40 for third, and then it's 35, 30, 25, 20, 15, 10, and finally €5 for the driver in 10th place. So at the moment, as it stands, it is Simonas on 166 points from Wendigo on 160. King Bob just holding on 1 point clear of Guy. He's in third, Guy in fourth. There's just 1 point difference. So that's a big race today between them. Las Vidas, he's on 110 points. He could potentially upset the apple cart in that top 4. Rollies just outside the top 5 on 93 points. And then we've got Paz Kozas on 80, joint with Dariukas also on 80 points. But as he's had a couple of higher finishes, that puts him just above him. Fizrukas comes in 1 point behind on 79. Timosius on 73. Outside the top 10, we've got the reigning champion, who will only be able to use that moniker for the next about an hour and a half, and then after that, it's no longer his. He is just outside that top 10, just a point behind Timosius on 72 points. Armanis on 66 also stands a chance of getting in there. And he's level with Shady, who also stands a chance of getting in there. And Shady actually has been performing a lot better since he switched to the Aston Martin. He had one good race in race number 2, but pretty much struggled in his previous car, which was the AMG Mercedes. Switched out a few weeks back to the Aston Martin, and his performances have been stronger. So a good strong finish for him. Really can't call it. I mean, look, we know Las Vidas is racing today. We know Las Vidas is crazy quick. We know Simonas is very, very quick. But I can't imagine Wendigo's going to give this up too early. He's in the Mazda RX Vision. I think the only problem here is that RX Vision, don't know how well it's suited to this track. He started out on the 911 Wendigo, and I think that would have been a good car to stick with. But, you know, we had updates and things change and things happen, and that's what happens when you have a race series. You make decisions based on what tracks are available, and then you have a go. So let's get involved in the room. We might as well. We're just loading it up now. Get rid of all of this faffity. I've got too much stuff on my screen. I need to remove it all. So here we go. In the race this evening, Xantia 165, I don't know who it is. What does it mean? ECM 350, that is Simonas. Then we've got Wendigo, Gadrazo, Timosius, Fizrukas, Shady, Rollis, who switched to the 911 there. King Bob in the GTR Nismo. Sorry, let's switch to the BRZ. Sorry, King Bob in the GTR Nismo. Mantvis MC, he's in that BRZ as well. Danius D in the GTR. Paz Kozas is stuck with that 650S all season. Mr. J Hoppity Hop in the 911 RSR. Dariukas in the RX Vision. And Audriox in that BRZ. And I'm assuming then that means Zanti was going to be. I think Zanti will be Las Vidas. So 20-minute qualifying starting right now, and they're all out there on track. And I hope you can all hear me very well, and it's all coming through nice and clear, because we are underway here at the Green Hell, and this is a very, very complex racing circuit. Very complex. I'll tell you a little bit about it while we're watching them go round and qualifying, shall we? Bear with me while I bring up my notes, because I don't remember things like this till I for goodness sake. So, what do you need to know about the Green Hell? Well, I mean, if you look at Nürburgring in general, there are essentially 3 racing circuits here. You've got your standard Nürburgring GP circuit, you have got the Nordschleife circuit, and then you've got your 24-hour circuit, which is a combination of this track here, the Nordschleife, and the GP circuits together. In terms of the sort of events you expect here, there's everything from the 24 hours of Nürburgring right through to truck racing, Formula 1 Grand Prix, all sorts of racing have happened here at Nürburgring. The Green Hell itself, in terms of track size, is, I've lost it. It is 12.9 miles, 154 different turns. As most of you will know, it's open to the public when it's not being used as a racing circuit, and it's a very, very popular place to go. The 20.8 kilometres, 154 turns. The race lap record is held in a Porsche 956. That was in 1983, and the time there was a 6 minute and 25 lap, which is something quite significant. The combined GP circuit, which is slightly longer than Nordschleife, is 25 kilometres, 15.7 miles, 170 turns, and the lap record there is 8 minutes 18 seconds, and that is in the Porsche 911 GT3. Which a few people are featuring today, and we will see a number of people going off the track here, because it's such a difficult circuit to learn. Probably the single best person around this track is the late great Sabine Schmidt, who drove this track literally thousands of times, lived stone's throw away, and R.I.P. She was a fantastic racing driver. So we want to change off. I'm going to change this back out. Just like that, you see. So there we've got M296 King Bob in the GTR. Paz Kozas, he has stuck with that McLaren. Manfredas, he is in the BRZ, switched it out a couple of races ago. He's got a 3-second penalty, and that's the thing. You can have a penalty here, and you can carry it for a full 7 minutes before you serve it. What an absolute nightmare that is. Gidrazo, there he is. He was in the 911. He switched out to this European Mazda, as GMEC would call it. I'm not sure this is the right car for this track though. Paz Kozas, Fizz Rockas, he switched to the GTR. It's going to be quick on the straight parts of the circuit, but I think in the twistier, complex parts, GTR is going to struggle a little bit. Mr. J with the 911, and that for me, I think overall, if I'm picking a car for the circuit, I'm picking the 911. I think that's probably the strongest car here in terms of its not only just its speed, but also its agility. It's a very, very agile motor car, and I think around here it's going to be strong. There is Simonas, current championship leader. 6 points is the difference between him and Wendigo right now. Mr. J, there he is. Simona's just going past him. Audriox He is also in that BRZ, switched it out a few races ago. Timosius was very, very strong early on in this tournament in the Alpha 4C, which at the time I thought was an absolutely shockingly bad choice. And he did such a good job in it, but he switched to the McLaren, and since then he hasn't been able to emulate the same kind of performances he did early on in that Alpha 4C. And I think sometimes you are best off sticking with the car that's got you to where you are, rather than just switching because you think it's going to... You have Bob Bevan saying, oh, no, we'll go for a different car. I think, if you get decent performances in the car, stick with it, because the longer you use the car, the better affinity you get with it. There's Wendigo. Wendigo led this championship from race number 1 all the way through to last week at Suzuka. He loses out his 6 points back, but it's still in his hands to do this. If he wins this race with fastest lap, I think on balance of race wins, he is the champion. It's that simple. That's all he has to do. He has to get that Mazda to the front and keep it there. In terms of points, though, it's 25 points for a win. It's 20 points for second. It's a big, big swing between first and second. It's 18 points for third place. If he finishes anywhere other than first, he is going to need Simonis to finish 2, 3 or 4 places behind him, depending on where they are on the racetrack. Which is why I think Las Vidas is going to come into play here. If Las Vidas wins this race, when Diego finishes second, it's going to need Simonis to finish for the first time outside the top 3, down in 5th or 6th place. So it's going to be a strong. Whatever happens, it's going to be a difficult race. But the great thing about Launch Leaf is anything can happen. It doesn't matter how quick you are on a 1 minute 30 or 2 minute race lap. Anything can go wrong here. If you bear in mind, because it's heavy damage, it's only 7 laps. You take a tumble here into a wall, your race is done. At least for that lap anyway. So sometimes it's going to be worth just backing off a little bit. So there is Daniel Stee. He's in the GTR Las Vidas. He's the man to watch. We know he's going to be quick. He's switched out to that 911 and put Mazda on the front of his car. So he's a fan of the Mazda, but he's decided to swap it out for the 911. And I don't understand people sticking other car labels on cars. So he wants that to look like a Mazda. He's tried to make it look like a Mazda, but it's not. It is a 911 all day long. There's Rollis. He switched out to the BRZ. I think the Yoda on the back of that. And finally, Paz Cosas in the McLaren. So everybody on an out lap except for there's a few here not actually. So everyone up to all blocks on their hot lap now. I think we're looking. I don't know. I don't want to hazard a guess what the fastest lap's going to be. It's going to be over 6 minutes. It will probably be under 7 minutes. It could be as much as 8 or 9 minutes. It's that complicated a track. You just can't text that. I just noticed, Dominic, you're not racing soon, are you, buddy? What is? I think you had a chance at the top 10, did you not? Yeah, you had a chance at the top 10 today, buddy. Shame you're not racing. You could have just snuck yourself in there. And whatever you're doing, it is much more fun than this one. So there we've got one of the drivers vying for a top 3 finish. He currently sits in 3rd place. I think it's going to be very difficult for him to go anywhere other than 3rd. Wendigo and Simonis, I think whatever happens, let's be clear about this, they're going to be the top 2. What order they go in will depend on this race. So 3rd place really is up for grabs. Anyone from Las Vidas, Guy or King Bob can jump in there, although in order for Las Vidas to get... I know he can't, I don't think he can, no he's not, he's too far back. So it's going to be King Bob or Guy for the top 3. So the two significant battles on the racetrack today are Simonis versus Wendigo King Bob versus Guy for the top 3. We've got a couple of battles for top 10 still in place, and to finish in the top 5 certainly. But the 2 big battles up front are Simonis Wendigo, King Bob, 1996, as you can see there, and Guy Gidrazo, who is, I think, going to regret swapping over. I'll tell you what, I think that people are going to regret dropping the 911. The 911 are going to be Gidrazo, and I think Wendigo as well dropping the 911. I've not been, since they dropped, I've not been convinced it's been the right decision. You know, and I hate to be proved right when people make a bad choice, but it is what it is. This is racing, and we get on with it. So, who are we going to go on board with? Let's go on board with somebody that's relatively new on the lap. That's because it's still on his out lap. Let's go on board with Lithuanian. In fact, we're going to wait until the race starts before we do an on board, or someone does gets around all the way around before we go on board, because it's such a long lap, and we're going to be spending sort of 6 minutes in the car with them while we look at it. It does make more sense to do it this way than we do a track guide, because you watch a track guide for all of 10 minutes, which is basically scraping a car against some walls around the Green Hell. And if you want to see more action from the Green Hell, of course, Black Flag will be running. We're raising money for the charity Mind. It is 15 hours of streaming to support Mind for the 1 in 15 people that have or will try and commit suicide throughout their lifetime. It's a series of 3-hour endurance races to emulate a 24-hour race series. That is starting next Saturday with the first race in the Group 1 cars at Le Mans, and it will end here at, well, not just here, it'll be the full 24-hour track, so it will be Nordschleife and the GP track all put together for the Nürburgring 24-hour race. So if you like that kind of racing and you want to get involved, do join our Discord side. I will play the video for you at the end of this race, just to entice you, whether you want to get involved by racing or by setting this, just setting a little bit of money for the charity. You know, as little or as much as you can afford would be great. Or, you know, worst case scenario, just come and join us on the stream and say hello. Yeah, that's it really. So MT96 is going to be the first one to give us a reflective time, I think, because Pez Kozas is just starting his hot lap. Shall we go on with him actually? He's not far from starting a hot lap. And then we'll go through and see who's done what where. So Paz Kozas is the only one that hadn't started his outlap yet, but it's about to happen. So this is Nordschleife, the Green Hell as it's more popularly known. It's not a bit quiet there yet. So as you can see, it's a very, very complex circuit, very twisty, very turning. Learning all the brake points around here is going to take some significant time. And I think it's about knowing where you're going to be quick and where you're not going to be quick. So MT96 on pole, that's a 6:27.2. That's a relatively big lap to be fair right now. And I think that's the sort of lap we can expect to be representative of the sort of time. It depends if anyone else can get close to that. And but at the moment, he is the fastest man. But as you can see, it's a very, very complex track. There is one very, very quick section, which is heads down towards the end of the racetrack. But you can see here, it is, you're going to spend a lot of time in 6th gear. You're also going to spend a lot of time on your brakes, trying to find a little bit of speed around some of these slower corners. Particularly, there is that section that's very top, you can see on the top right hand side, which is about halfway round, which is very, very twisty, switches back on itself, quite a complex bit of the racetrack. Here you're pretty much flat out. A lot of the corners you are literally powering through. You know, as we said, there's 150 corners here. So to learn them all would take a significant amount of time, and I think it's about knowing when you can really push and when you need to take it easy. But so far nobody else better than Simonis, which is a 6:26.2, fastest man out there. Consider this, all he has to do to guarantee this championship is win the race. It's in his hands, and at the moment he's starting this race from pole position, and nobody else has gone quicker as yet. We're currently on board with Paz Kozas, doing a full lap around, so you can see just what is in store for these guys around Green Hell today. And you can see just how complex, how narrow it is, and how few overtaking opportunities. And I tell you now, the overtaking opportunities are going to be through mistakes, because there really is, there's no space to make moves around here. It's such a narrow racetrack. You can't really go off your racing line to make a move, because there's just no room off the racing line. And you run the risk then of obviously disappearing off to the gravel, into the grass, or even into a wall. And you see there, you know, you've got to let off the power. As soon as you make a mistake, that grass will send you spinning off into the wall. And we do have a new fastest lap, Las Vidas. He's aiming to win every race he's entered this season. That's a 6:23.3. Very, very good lap. I think we're going to struggle to see that getting beaten at this stage. A 6:23.3 here. And we're still on board with Paz Kozas. It's 14 minutes. 14 minutes to start was the last message. That essentially means everybody would. Well, look, you got a 20-minute qualifying session. It's out lap, hot lap, hot lap. That's all there is to it. How many stops is the question? How long does the fuel last right here? I mean, if you consider that he's into his second lap here, and he's already nearly at half a tank of fuel, and already taken out quite significantly a chunk out of the tyres. I'm not entirely sure even the softs can last 2 laps. Realistically, it may. This is a very, very tricky section of the racetrack. You've got that big bank turn. I mean, the banking does help you, but not a lot. You come down, it sweeps round to the right hand side, and then just when you think you've got a lovely long stretch in front of you, you're back on the brakes again as you come round this left-hander and then switch back to the right-hand side. This is an incredibly punishing section, and back around again on itself. And this is probably one of the slowest parts of the racetrack here at Green Hill. And this is where you really need to have your wits about you. If you make a mistake here and someone goes through and it's on the grass again, you've just got to be patient. You can't try and power your way out of it if you do end up off the racing line. You've just got to be patient, get the car back on the track, then slowly ease your way back on the power again. You can abuse the edges where you see those rumble strips, apart from places like that where there's gravel. There is a little bit of leeway for you on this track, but if you miss that little concrete strip or you go too far over, it is goodbye, and you are going to spin, and there's nothing you can do about it. And there we go. Oh, very good. Managed to arrest that. Very, very good. Don't know how he managed to catch that quite like that. Was that a studious use of the pause button there? Certainly looked to be for me. Could be wrong. You know, I'm not going to accuse anyone of doing anything untoward without proof, but it looked to me like he hammered that pause button to help his car get righted. Otherwise, it was one of the single greatest saves in the history of motorsport, and I applaud it if it was. So 5 minutes to start. So if you are not already on a hot lap, no chance. There's no point starting one now. Fastest man out there is Las Vidas with a 6:23.3. There's the penalty line. There is only one on this track, and actually I think that's a bit stupid. And I'll tell you why it's stupid. Because look where you've got to serve it here anyway. You can pick up a penalty on turn 1, and you are not serving it until that part of the race. And I think there should be a couple of opportunities here to serve a penalty, or at least in the manner like GTS, is you're allowed to serve it within that lap to your own win. So you can serve it however you want to serve it. You're not forced to serve it in a certain place. And I wonder what you can change in those and stay at 5th gear for a very, very long time now. And this is the final part of the race course. Very twisty, very turny. And here we go, and then you cross the line eventually. And that is a lap of 6:41.0 for Paz Kozas. So let's have a rundown of everybody. Get to the right screen. So, fastest man on the racetrack is Lithuanian, 6:23.3. Simonas is 1 second slower than that. King Bob, MT96, vying to secure third place. 3.9 seconds off that pace. Sorry, 1.142 off the pace. Wendigo didn't get a chance to see his time. He is 4.5 seconds off that fastest lap. Tomosius 5 seconds off. Daniel D 8 seconds off. Fizruckus 8.9. Aldrox 12.3. Paz Kozas 14.8 seconds off. Manfredas 19 seconds. Mr. J 19.8. Shady 22.3 seconds off. Guy 6:55.2. That's a big difference. And we can see there just how difficult it is with the racing soft tyres. They won't last 3 laps here because he's on lap 3 now on those tyres. They're not going to take it to the end. Actually, bear in mind where he is. You probably wouldn't just make it now seeing where he is on the racetrack. But I've got to say, with that much damage as well, it's going to be very, very difficult once you've picked up damage because it just slows you right down. Rollis is 8.4 behind the leader. Manfredas 15.1. Guy 22.7. Not a great time there from Gadrazo. So Las Vidas, there he is, the fastest man on the racetrack in the Porsche 911, dressed up as a pink Mazda for whatever reason that might be. The man clearly loves a Mazda, but he's not driving one today. So we are literally a couple of minutes from the start of this race, and 7 laps from the end of what has been an absolutely fabulous racing series. And let's get me Pepsi open ready for this. Bit of caffeine and a bit of lubrication. No drink booze, it's school night, of course. So 2 minutes to start. You have been warned. Who's got time to put another lap in? Simonas won't. King Bob will not. Wendigo will not. Tomosius on an out lap, but he won't start one either. Neither will Daniel D, and that's a big spin. You do that in the race, you are in big trouble. His tyres are shot. But he's set his lap already. Everybody else in the pits waiting for this race to start. Nobody has enough time left to complete, so they should probably just crack on, shouldn't they? So, really looking forward to this. 7 laps of the green hell. I can't remember any of the corner names. There's 150 of them. It would be an exercise in insanity to try and learn them all. So I'm not going to. Absolutely not going to. And I'm going to turn down, because I think the racing sounds a little bit too loud. I'm going to turn down a little bit so you can hear me better. So 1 minute to start. So if they want to start on anything other than the soft compound tyres, now is the time to do it. I think that will be wise. If you're running the soft compound tyres, it's 7. I suppose you could do 3 on the softs just and 4 on the mediums. So 1-stop race. Me personally, I think if you want to be quick, not a bad shout or a good shout would be to do 2, 2, 3. With 2 stops on the soft compound tyres. That's if you can really get the car dialed in on the soft compound tyres. I don't know what the time difference is, but if you're looking at 1 to 2 seconds a lap on a standard 1.5 minute lap, on a 6.5 minute lap, you are looking at a much bigger differential. And if you factor in the additional grip, the additional speed, the chance of less crashes, you're probably better off with the soft tyres. But we'll see. So finish qualifying, red X for everybody. Everybody leave the room. I will do the same. I don't want scores and problems. We tick in and then tick out, because you never know. And then back in we go once everybody has jumped out. So here we are, race number 10. It has been a phenomenal racing series, and every race just brings up so much action. But we are finally here, and I'll tell you what, I'm really disappointed we're at the end of this. But it's not over for these guys from LRC. Now this is over, they're going to join us from next week, and it's going to be a little 4-race tournament, takes us up to Christmas, which will be Black Flag versus LRC. A couple of endurance races for the super quick guys, the likes of Las Vidas, Simonas for LRC, Kevin and Stormfly for us. Then we're going to do a couple of sprint races, 2 by 30-minute sprint races, which will be for the lower end of the runners, people such as Mr. J, Hoppity Hop and all that kind of thing, and Old Man J and Mr. J, and those kind of drivers, giving everyone a little bit of a run out, running up to Christmas. That'll be a really interesting little racing series, because there is such a vast difference in pace across the board. But we are ready to go now. We've got a full complement of 15 runners, which is exactly what you want for the final race of the season. Las Vidas will start on pole, and that was a 6:23.3, his fastest lap. The only way he can guarantee winning this race is to make a big gap early on and not crash, and it's very difficult to do that here. But I'm going to echo what the runners just said, which is good luck to everybody. It's been a fabulous season, and not one person hasn't made a good account of themselves throughout the season. It's been absolutely brilliant to watch, and I am honoured to have been involved in this. I'm glad they would choose me over the many other people that do this commentary thing that I do. But here we go. It is 7 laps here. 6.5. It's going to be between 6.5 and 8 minute laps, depending on your pace. I think we're going to see some thrills. We're going to see some spills, and I certainly think we're going to see a crash or two. So here we go. The lights are on, and we are away. Las Vidas from Simonas front 2. MT96 Wendigo away on row 2. MT96, he needs to guarantee, basically, he needs to make sure he stays ahead of Guy to guarantee he finishes in 3rd place in this championship. And the moment Gidrazo is there, plumb last, couldn't get a good lap in that Mazda, and I still insist that Mazda's not a great car for this track. But there is your race leader. He's not in the Mazda. He's tried to dress up his pink Porsche like one, but it isn't one. It is the Porsche 911. He is with Simonas, and they are already 1.6 seconds clear of the rest of the field. MT96 running in 3rd. And I'll tell you what, he has been so consistent in terms of all the drivers. If we look at all of the drivers and where they finished, and obviously take Simonas and Las Vegas out, because those two are aliens, absolute aliens. If we think about MT96, King Bobby, as he's more affectionately known, throughout the season, he has been consistently around the same kind of pace, always floating around that kind of top 3. Certainly in most races he's running in there. He has had a couple of slip-ups here and there, but for the most part he has been very consistently a top 3 runner. So will thoroughly deserve 3rd in the championship once he secures it here. But this is the guy here. This guy knows what he needs to do. He's got to get ahead of MT96. He's not going to do it that way. He's on the grass. He's in the Mazda. So he's going to secure 2nd place here, whatever happens. Of course, he does need to finish the race, of course, for that to happen. But he is right at the back. But that's how easy it is here. That's how easy it is for something to go wrong. We see Las Vegas in front. They have an issue like that. All of a sudden, a win is all of a sudden not on the cards. So here, more than anywhere else, it's less about your pace and more about not crashing your car. And Las Vegas on the grass there, Simonas through, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. Sometimes you rub off that little bit of speed. This is going to be great fun for this Rocco, you are absolutely right. But we've already seen a couple going off the track, and this is where places are going to change hands. It's all about supreme concentration here at Green Hill. You just let your thoughts wander from anything other than your line through the next corner, and you will have a mistake. And that's letting the back of that. Did you want it to be the real European Mazda? Having a little bit of a wobble. I'll have to. GMAC will have to have a look at that, because that's what a real European Mazda looks like. So again, still running in third, MT96 is in that Nissan GTR. It's going to be quick through the high-speed sections. Might struggle a little bit through that twisty bit, which we're coming up to very soon. He makes the move past Las Vidas. Bit of slipstream, little bit of pace on the medium tyres. I think everyone is pretty much running the mediums. I think you'd be insane. I say you'd be insane to run the softs. And there is insanity personified. He's on those soft tyres, Ronnies. So he's planning on pitting earlier than everybody else. It's going to be 2 laps on those for any reasonable driver. Dariuka's also on the soft tyres. Aldrich's also on the soft tyres. So Mr. J as well. And Manfredas is when Digo moves up the order a little bit. Manfredas dropping down. So Simona's in the lead of this race. If the race finishes as it is, he will be crowned champion today. He's 1.8 seconds clear of MT96, who has got his way around Las Vidas. Las Vidas hasn't competed in many races this season. He missed the first 4. He did miss last week as well. So he would have only competed in half the races this season, but he has won every race he has been in so far. This is going to be, he's out of the championship. He can't make the top 3 here. So this is going to be about pride. Can he prove a point and win again here? At the moment, he was on pole, but he's back in third. Little error early on. Lets Simona's through. MT96 with a bit of speed, bit of slipstream, slips past him up into second place. But that damage as well to Las Vidas after his little foray off the racetrack is going to be affecting his pace. Little bit of suspension damage on that front left tyre. Timosius, good run from him. He's up to 4th place in that McLaren. It's not a car that I think would be too strong around there, but he seems to be holding out quite well so far. He's 1.5 seconds back from that top 3. Danius D, the reigning champion, or who will be the reigning champion for the next 7 laps here, before he has to hand the crown over to either Simonas or Wendigo. He is running in 5th place, and this is a matter of pride for him, just proving that he deserved to be the reigning champion. 1.5 seconds clear of Rollins, who has kept this all together throughout, and switches to the BRZ for this very last race. Fiers Rocas, there he is, 2.9, nearly 3 seconds back in 7th place in that GTR, looking pretty racy so far. Dariuka's 3.5 seconds back, 3.5. Red Bull livery on the Mazda. Again, not a car. I don't see the benefit of this Mazda here, but it is what it is. Paz Kozas. Why am I talking about like cars and the other? I'm slower than every single one of these guys on this racetrack. Every single one. There is not one person on this racetrack I could beat in a race, in any class, unless of course I had a GR1 and they had a GR4 or a Mini or a Samba bus. Paz Kozas, he's 7/10 behind Dariukas. He's going to be getting loads of slipstream down this very quick section at the back. As we see Guy making a move on Aldrich up into 10th place. He's got a lot of work to do ahead of him if he wants to challenge for a top 3 spot here. He's currently sitting in 4th in the championship, but his rival for 3rd is running 2nd on the racetrack. And Aldrich with slipstream coming back at him, gets a little bit grassy. Thought he was going to just nip him in the back there, but it doesn't happen. Guy does stay ahead. Aldrich stays in 11th place. Mr. J, hoppity hop, there he is. 8 seconds back from that battle. He's 1.9 ahead of Wendigo. As Las Vidas in the pits already. He's had to pit. He had a bit of damage. Didn't have a choice. So he's gone into the pits. He's way down the order now. 12th place. Wendigo also in the pits to repair some damage. Quite significant damage to his car. And I said that things like this, damage was going to make a big difference here. Manfredas in 14th. Shady bringing up the rear in the Aston Martin. He's now in 14th as Wendigo's in the pits. So Simona's in the lead, 3 seconds clear. He has got, we're on lap 2 already. He has got 6 laps to keep this car on this racetrack. make no mistakes, and the race will be his. Losing my voice. MT96 in the GTR, 3.4 seconds back. Fastest lap so far is with Simonis, that's a 6:33.0. I imagine, I don't know if we're going to see a sub 6:20 here. I think 6.3, 6.5 minutes is probably about right for race pace out front here. You don't want to be pushing any harder than that, because if you do and you cock it up, it's bye-bye to any points for you. Timosius running in third. That is because Las Vegas had to drop into the pits and repair some damage. So Las Vegas giving himself a lot of work to do here. But clearly, because it's such a long lap, you know, we're talking a 6.5 minute lap, you have no choice but to repair the damage, because the amount of time you're going to lose through every corner, I mean, we're talking, if it's a couple of tenths through every corner, there's 150 corners here, and it's going to cost you. So he's currently 2.4 clear of this man here, Daniel D, up into 4th place. 1.7 seconds clear of Rollins, who's still in that top 5 and looking to cement a place in the top 5 in the championship. He currently sits in 6th place, finishing ahead of Las Vegas, significantly so, will make a difference. He's also going to need to finish ahead of drivers like King. Certainly he's got to finish ahead of Paskozas, Dariukas, Fizrakas, Timosius. Well, actually, not necessarily Timosius. Timosius is, I think, enough behind him not to make it difficult. But Rollins does need to beat Las Vegas by some way if he wants to make it into the top 5. At the moment, he is significantly ahead of him because Las Vegas had to pit after damage on lap 1. We said these soft tyres were going to run 2 laps, but already that front left tyre looking like it might struggle to hold out. 3 lap runs for the medium tyre runners, so I think it's going to be a 2-stopper. I think I don't know if those rear mediums can hold out for 3 whole laps. Possibly is the answer, but Fizrakas still on lap 2. Everyone's still on lap 2, of course, because we're only 10 minutes in. Simonis is now 3.3 seconds clear. We look at the very back of the pack. Where there is Wendigo. He's had to go into the pits. He's had to repair damage. He's got those medium tyres. His job today is simply just keep it on the racetrack. I think he's going to struggle to win this competition, which is such a shame, because he led from race number 1 to race number 8, and then race number 9 was when Simonis finally closed that gap. He is 6.8 seconds behind Manvidas. There's some work to do there, but Manvidas with significant front end damage and on those soft tyres, and he will have to pit at the end of this lap anyway. But is he going to still be ahead of Wendigo when he gets there? Because that kind of damage would suggest that probably won't be. Shady in the Aston Martin, the only driver that's chosen to go for that Aston Martin, currently running in 13th. He's 7.3 seconds behind Mr. J. Mr. J in the Porsche 911. He swapped out from the AMG, has been stronger since he switched to that Porsche 911. Certainly stronger than he was in the AMG Mercedes. Aldriox running in 11th place. He switched to the BRZ. He's currently running 15th in the championship, 11th in the race today. Relatively consistent with his finishes. I think he's got 5 points on 4 or 5 occasions. I think it's 4 races he's finished on 5 points, so very consistent in terms of his finishing positions. But he is right up behind Dariukas, and they're looking for a way through. But it's so difficult to overtake here. You know, slipstream on the straight is probably the only place it's easy to do. He's on those soft tyres. He doesn't want to take too much out of them. Side by side, if he makes this overtake stick, and that is a really, really smart overtake there. Very, very brave to do it there as well. Such a narrow racetrack. So brilliant move there from Aldriox. Puts him up into the lead. Into 10th place of this race. Paskozas is 5 seconds up the road. That's his next target if he can close that gap. He's running on those medium tyres. Got a little bit of damage on the front there, which will be affecting him a little bit aerodynamically. And there is the fastest thing on 2 wheels, Las Vegas, Not at the moment he isn't though. He switched out to that Porsche. He's 2.6 seconds ahead of Pascozas. He is 30 seconds off the lead of this race. He has never, in any race he's been in so far this season, been that far off the lead of the race. So a whole new complexion here with Nordschleife that you don't get anywhere else. And 9/10 up the road there is Guy, currently 4th in the championship. Needs a very, very strong finish. He's 1 point behind King Bob. He has to finish. If he wants to move up into the top 3, he has to finish above King Bob, currently running in 2nd place on this racetrack. So a lot of work still for Guy to do to steal 3rd, as we see Rollies into the pits at the end of lap 2. So as we move into lap 3, Simona still with the fastest lap of the race. That's a 6:28.2. He's 4.7 seconds clear. He's on those medium compound tyres. One more lap for him, or is he going to go conservative and run 2 laps on these mediums to give him a little bit more pace towards the end of the race? MT96, if he finishes here, he will take 3rd in the championship, and a well-deserved 3rd as well. Guy, I think, will have something to say about that, but he's also running the medium compound tyres. It's taken a little bit more out of them than Simonis has, though, so might need to consider pitting this lap. Will it be a 2-stopper for him? Timosi's up into 3rd. Could this be, excuse me, his equal best performance of the season? Didn't have a good start. Did very well in race number 2. Came in 3rd place. Can he equal that again here at Nordschleife? Some disappointing performance for him throughout the season. Bearing in mind that the few times before this I'd seen him race, he was very, very quick. So he is just outside the top 2, or 10 seconds outside the top 2. But can get himself firmly up the order. He's currently sitting in 10th in the leaderboard, but a finish here in the top 3 would certainly change that, would move him up a few places. There's Dangerous D running in 4th place. He's going to be struggling on those tyres come the end of this lap. In fact, I think he's taken out more out of those tyres than he probably feels comfortable with at this stage, particularly bearing in mind he has still got 5 minutes of driving to do on those tyres, if there's going to be anything left when he gets there. There's only 2 people that I think could drive around this track with tyres that are going to be as red as his, and that's Simonas, and there is actually, no, there's 3 people. It's PM10 Racing, who I've seen do it, Simonas, who I've seen do it, and there's a guy that races for Virtual Racers Club called Homesick Alien, who I've seen drive on fully red tyres. Not just drive, but drive at pace and not crash. So Fizz Ruckus running in 5th place, 2.9 seconds back. He is 3.5 clear of Las Vidas, who made a mistake on lap 1 from the lead of this race, and has got significant work for himself to do to move up the order. He was 30 seconds behind. Behind Simonas. He is now 29.6 seconds behind Simonas. And this 6-minute lap is not, and he was 1 second slower on that last lap than Simonas, and significantly slower, almost 30 seconds slower on lap 1. So lot of work for him to do. I think the top 3 is now out of reach. I think as soon as you crash here, you kind of preclude yourself from the top 3. So the top 3 in this race are going to be the 3 drivers that don't hit a wall or each other, or spin unnecessarily. There's Gidrazo. He's 16.7 seconds back. He's got some rear end damage, which is going to be affecting his aerodynamics. It's going to be affecting his ability to get the car stopped. It's also going to affect his ability to put in the best lap that he can. Best lap so far is a 6:36, which is almost 8 seconds off the lead pace. There's Rollies 13 seconds back. He's been in the pits, did 2 laps on the soft tyres. He's back on those soft tyres again. So he is going to go soft, medium to the end of this race. There is Wendigo. led the championship from race number 1, now sits second in the championship. Wherever he finishes, he will consolidate second. He's too far ahead of King Bob in third for King Bob to usurp him. But he would love. I tell you what, the ideal scenario for Wendigo is that Simonis has an absolute brain fart, puts the car into a wall, spins it 4 or 5 times, and then has to go in the pits and repair. But straight after he's already just pit for tyres, and then Wendigo make his way through the other 7 drivers in between them and win this race. That's essentially what he needs. Audriox running in 10th. Excuse me. Swapped out for that BRZ. He's 11.7 seconds behind Wendigo. 4 tenths up from Paz Kozas, who's running in their McLaren and doing very well in that McLaren, actually. Better than I expected this McLaren to perform here. He's crawling all over the back of Audriox, just looking for a way through. And we saw Audriox make the move on him. Is he able to make a move back? Well, the question is there a gap? And he makes the move there. The gap was, the door was left open. Nothing you can do. If you leave the door open, somebody will go through it. And that is exactly what's happened there. So Audriox now needs to crawl back up to the back of Paz Kozas and give him some of the same medicine. Mr. J, look at the state of those tyres. He's in big trouble. He tried to take those soft tyres 3 laps, and it's clear that they just can't do it under racing conditions. He is in big trouble because Dariukas is on brand new grippy softs, and he is going to breeze past him anytime soon. Shady's going to be struggling with his tyres very soon, and that will see, despite being 41 seconds back, potentially Manfidas is going to be swallowing him up, because Mr. J has already spun once. He has got some way to go still before he's going to get to the end of this lap. It's going to be agonising for him. But there, we've got the first of the top 3 into the pits. There is King Bob. He's got in. Simonis staying out for a 4th lap on these tyres, and we thought he might do that. He might go for a long stint in first. Now, here's the thing. We know that he can look after his tyres. There's no question about it. But he's going to have a lot of tyre to look after here at Nordschleife. If you look at that front left tyre, I'm not sure that's going to hold out and be looking anything like not fully red by the time we get up to the big twisty section of the sort of top right hand of your screen. It's just hidden behind the Black Flag TV banner at the top. There's a bit of the racetrack there that's going to be very tricky, and you're going to need full grip to fully send. So here's where big changes have happened already. So Timosius in, Fizruckus in, loads of people got in, and that has freed Las Vidas into second place. But he has decided to try and go 3 laps on these racing soft tyres and just look at the state of his rear tyres. There is absolutely no way on earth he is making it to the end of this lap without some problem or having to drive incredibly slowly around corners. So I can see why he did what he did, but all he's going to do is just give up more time now to Simonis. He felt he had to stay out because he went to the end of lap 1 to make some repairs. But those tyres, I can't see how he's not going to put this car into a wall, onto the grass, into some gravel within the next 50 corners. MT96 has been in the pits. He ran 3 laps on the medium tyres, which is that's about right. Simonis has managed to do 4, but it's about right. 3 laps on those medium tyres and 2 stints of soft. So he's running in 3rd place. 3rd place is enough to retain 3rd in the championship and finish on that podium step. 26 seconds back to Danius D. He's been into the pits as well. Excuse me. Rollins has been in. He's running another couple of laps on those soft compound tyres. Didn't have a very good lap 2. Much improved in lap 3 though. Timosius was running in the top 3, but he has now pit. The cars in front of him will pit before he does. So still all playing for him. He's only 1.2 seconds behind Rollins right now. Wendigo up to 7th place. He has done already 2 laps on those medium compound tyres. This lap is probably the last foray for those. There is Ruckus coming. He's been into the pits. He's on the medium tyres now. He's got 3 laps to do on these tyres. Paz Kozas, he has already, I'm sure you put at the beginning of this lap, he isn't taking that significant amount, but he has done some damage to the front of his car, which is going to be slowing him down. Audriox, they were having a battle before, not anymore. He's on those soft tyres. He will run 1 more lap on these before he is forced to make a change. But that's assuming, of course, his fuel hound's out. He might have to pit this lap, actually. Well, actually, to be fair, it's not too bad if he does pit this lap, because he's going to have the medium tyres at his disposal. But it is a worry at touch and go whether that fuel even makes it to the end of this lap. There's Dariukas. He is doing okay on this at the moment. Again, he's got an issue with the fuel consumption. We'll have to just tweak it, just drop it down a little bit here in order to get to the end of this lap. But the problem is he's got this guy buried down on him now. He does have a 3-second penalty, but he's on the racing soft tyres. He's got plenty of fuel on board for the 2 laps he's going to do on those softs, and he's probably going to make an overtake pretty soon in that Mazda RX Vision concept. Now, Gudrazo needs to beat King Bob to stand a hope of finishing 3rd in the championship. From there, that's not going to happen. 39 seconds back to Manvidas in the BRZ. He has pit, but he's got damage, so he's going to be slowing up. If Shady behind him, if you keep it on the road, Shady might be able to close that 25-second gap before they reach the end of this lap. And at the rear of the pack, there is Mr. J. He is 20 seconds off the pack. Simona's still with the fastest lap, though, with a 28.7. But look at his tyres, and we're already, I think he might just be holding them out. So fuel-wise, tyre-wise, he might just hold them out. Good evening, Jason. Good to see you, buddy. Some very, very good racing here in Longcleeve. We've had a fair amount of overtakes. More than you would expect on such a narrow circuit, of course. But yeah, it's been okay. But this guy here has been very dominant. Las Vegas, just to recap for those of you just joining us. This man out of Las Vegas was on pole. He switched this week. He's up to this point just driven the Mazda RX Vision concept. Decided to change it out this week for a Porsche 911, which he covered in Mazda badges. He was on pole, some 1.2 seconds quicker than anybody else, and proceeded on lap 1 to use the grass instead of the racetrack. Took some damage, had to pit at the end of lap 1. Put on some new fresh racing soft tyres. He's then tried to do 3 laps on those tyres, and you can see that it was a very poor decision. There are worse decisions you can make in life, like sleeping with that 65-year-old hooker. That time you were very, very drunk in a pub in a strange place, but not much worse because he's already damaged the front of his car. He wasn't in the running for the championship, but it was about pride for him, winning 5 races out of the 5 that he had competed in. So he is now back in 3rd place. He's got to pit at the end of this lap if he can make it to the end of this lap safely. If he hasn't died by the time he's got to the end because of the state of those tyres. And he's got to repair his car and repair his tyres and get back on track and do all that without losing too much more time. Here comes Simonis into the pits. He's made those medium tyres last 4 laps. So for him, this is a one-stop race. He's 31 seconds clear. He's got a pit stop in it from MT96, who will also have to pit again. So even if King Bob here takes the lead of this race, which it looks like he might well do, see him coming around there, he does take the lead of this race. But he's going to have to pit again because he's opted to go a medium soft to the end of this race because it's 7 laps here at the Green Hell. And when you watch a race here, I have to say it, when you watch a race here, you can see just how good the graphics are on GT7 and how beautifully recreated the tracks are and the detail is and all that kind of thing. That's the beautiful side of GT7. You've got the ugly side of GT7, which is piss poor penalties in daily racing, really piss poor coding of lobbies, and connection issues with cross-platform, limited functionality in the lobbies, of course. and the inability to do a fucking simple reverse grid or put up a list of qualifying times. But other than that, no, it's great. So MT96 is 15 seconds in the lead. He will have to stop again though. Simona's going to run to the end of this race without question. 24 seconds clear of Timosius, back up into third, running very, very well in that McLaren. Still think he's stuck with the Alpha 4C when he changed it out, but he's going to right hand to go in that top three. How long can he hold off Rollins though? Rollins on the soft tyres, and Rollins will have to come into the pits at the end of this lap. Can he make a move on him before that happens? Now, here's the problem. I think he's done a very similar thing to Las Vegas. He's gone too long on the wrong tyres. For Rokas, he's got plenty of tyres, plenty of fuel. He should make it to the end of this race. Las Vegas finally got into the pits, but that last lap was a minute slower than his previous fastest. So whatever hopes he had of making it 5 wins from 5 races for himself, they've gone. And I think finishing in the top 5 is going to be a big ask. Top 3 is well out of his reach, and that's for winning this. Absolutely, he's got 2 hopes. He's got Bob Hope, who's dead, and no hope. He's also got Envelope, I suppose. But yes, no hope of winning this race now after his little wobble on lap number 1. And I said this right at the beginning, that this race was less about pace and more about not crashing. And at the moment, the people who haven't crashed, MT96 has not crashed, Simonas has not crashed, Timosius has not crashed, Rollins has not crashed. Everybody else has pretty much crashed. Davis D running to the end of this race in 8th place. He's 4.3 seconds back from Guidrazo. Guidrazo vying for 3rd place in the championship, but I think a little bit too much work to do for him because he's got to beat MT96 on the racetrack in order to do so. He is 19 seconds back at the moment from Las Vegas, and he's going to have to pit again. So that's not very likely to happen. Wendigo, as we know, he led the championship for 8 of these 10 rounds. Sorry, we led it going into 9 of these 10 rounds because he led at the end of race 1 and the beginning of race number 9. But he came into this 6 points behind, currently running in 9th place. It's going to take a miracle of engineering to get him into the top 3 today. Paz Kozas, 18.7 seconds back in 10th place. Will run to the end of this race though, of course. So may gain a place or 2, as will Dariukas and Aldriox. Actually, will Aldriox, because no one yet has managed to take a set of soft tyres successfully for 3 laps. Notice I said successfully because some have taken soft tyres for 3 laps and it hasn't gone very well for them in the slightest. In fact, you could go as far as to say it's been an absolute fucking disaster for anyone that's taken the racing stops for 3 laps. In fact, nobody other than Simonas has taken the medium tyres longer than 3 laps. There is Shady running in 13th, as we see Dariukas at the back of Aldriox. Aldriox has been involved in a few battles today, actually, not just with Dariukas, with a couple of different drivers. Paz Kozas early on, but he loses out there to Dariukas. Dariukas moving up into 11th place, and Aldriox slotting in behind in 12th. Then we've got Shady in the Aston Martin, running in 13th place. Managed to make it despite the state of his tyres at the end of that lap. And Manfidas didn't catch him, he's 16.6 seconds back, running to the end of this race. He's brave enough with those soft tyres. Mr. J on the mediums will definitely run to the end, and I think, unless he keeps doing that for the next couple of laps, he should be able to make up the 11.7 seconds to the American Manfidas, or to the Lithuanian in America Manfidas, but just by virtue of the fact his tyres are going to go off. Manfidas is not Mr. J, of course. There's your race leader, currently 16 seconds clear. He will be pitting in a few corners' time. If, of course, well, no, he'll still be pitting, whatever happens. But will his fuel last that long? We're going to see that gap coming down now because it's a long straight to drive, at full pelt when you have a red flashing light like that and not a lot of fuel left in your tank. What he is doing here is he's consolidating third in the championship. We can see in the distance there the guy who is vying for the championship, Simonas, in the rear. He would dearly love to win this race when winning the championship, and everything he's doing at the moment suggests that he might. MT96 doing what he needs to do to stay third. He's got to make it a couple more corners, does just make it into the pits with literally 2 litres of fuel left in that car. So he's going to put on the Racing Soft tyres for lap 6 and lap 7 of this race. We are already coming towards the end of this very tricky circuit. 7 laps here at Nordschleife. Simonas will go through and retake the lead of this race. He's going to run to the end. He has the fastest lap with a 6:28.2. The question is now, where's Timosius? He's some 46 seconds back, so I don't think he's going to be involved at all in the top 2. Is he going to be involved in the top 3? But at the moment, 6.8 seconds ahead of Rollins would suggest that he is. And this has been his equal best race of the season. And I'm going to be brutally honest, I've said this before, I think if he stuck with the Alpha 4C, he would be further up the leaderboard now. I think switching to the McLaren did not suit him and actually cost him more points than he would have gained. It cost him more points than he gained by switching cars. But Rollins goes into the pits. He is, those tyres looking ropey as hell. He's glad he made it, to be fair. And actually did his fastest lap of the race last lap with 6:39.6. It's 11 seconds. 11 seconds off the pace of Simonas. So he'll come back out somewhere around the same place as he actually. So, Timosius has just lost out to Fizz Rockas. So as we flick away and we look at Rollins, it looks like Timosius had a problem, and Fizz Rockas has got through and stolen 3rd place in that GTR. So the GTR is looking very strong around here at Nordschleife. And Fizz Rockas up into 3rd place, 1.7 seconds of gap to Timosius. So 3rd not guaranteed at all for Timosius. Las Vidas does make his way into the top 5. Now, I said I didn't think a top 3 was possible for him. However, looking at the pace, actually it's not that much difference. Look, he's got, at the end of the day, if he wants to finish 3rd, Las Vidas has to make up 6.5 seconds to Timosius, then the 1.8 seconds to Fizz Rockas, and then stay in that fight there. He's on the medium tyres to the end of this race. He probably could have made it to the end on softs, but he has erred on the side of caution, gone for the mediums to give him that extra bit of grip, and he's decided to go for it. Interesting to see if he gets that 911 painted like a Mazda, up to the sort of pace of the cars in front. But he's got a lot of work to do. So Timosius is coming back at Fizz Rockas after losing out that place, or that 3rd place that he had for so long as well, such a long period of this race. And you know, he's benefited from people crashing into walls and a couple of issues, but by the same token, that's what you need to do. If you don't crash and you keep your car nice and fresh, then this is what happens. This is how you are rewarded, particularly on tricky racetracks like this one at Nordschleife. So he is tucked in right behind Fizz Rockas, looking for a way through. We know it's narrow, it's going to be difficult. He's got the slipstream they're coming towards now, the tricky, twisty section at the very top of the track, where it's even harder to get through, unless, of course, he can trouble Fizz Rockas into making an error. A big braking zone coming up for the pair of them. Big hairpin, really, all the way back on itself, this part of the racetrack goes. And he's going to have to just ease off. The last thing you want him to do is be collecting too much dirty air from the car in front when you're in this tricky section of the racetrack. There are barriers both sides, very close to the edge of the track as well. There's no real runoff area for you. You catch one of those, you are going slowly for half a lap before you can waste another 30 seconds replacing the broken parts. So he is currently running in 4th, but is trying to regain that 3rd place. I think his pace today would suggest he probably will. But Fizz Rucker's still running very, very strongly in 3rd at the moment. And I think this actually might be, he finished in 2nd. He finished 3rd in race number 1, 2nd in race number 2, and has been off the pace since then. So hopefully Fizz Rucker's just coming back into contention towards the end of this race and nicking himself an extra few places. But a good run for Timosius. Can he make the pass? He can't. He had the slipstream, he had the run, he just couldn't find a way through. Fizz Rucker's planting that car in the middle of the racetrack with no intention of leaving any gaps for Timosius to get through. So Timosius backing off at this stage. He will have to find another way through. How does this play into Las Vegas? Well, still 4.5 seconds back. We're on lap 6. Still going to be a lot of work to do. He's going to catch up. But he is closing. That battle actually is harming Timosius and aiding Las Vegas, because it looks to me that Timosius is a little bit quicker than Fizz Rucker's here. Does this push both of them back into the clutches of Las Vegas? And let's face it, if Las Vegas catches them, they are in big, big trouble. A little bit worried about those rear tyres on that McLaren of Timosius as well, just going off onto the grass there as well. So Fizz Rucker says both their tyres, bearing in mind where they are on the racetrack, they've got to take them 2 laps if that's their intention. And they're going to have to do that with Las Vegas on much, much stronger tyres, albeit a little bit less fuel. Who's really, really closed that gap down now. I said that it was going to take him a while to catch him, but he's absolutely all over the back of them. Just as we see the weather changing, it's getting a bit darker, lights are coming on now, we see the darkness coming in, which makes this track all that trickier, all that more complicated. The only thing worse than this would be rain, and I don't think we've got rain coming. But Las Vegas now on the back of Timosius. Is he going to buck my prediction and make it into the top 3? So Simonis decides not to run to the... Oh, he does, because it is raining. The rain is coming down here at Nordschleife. This changes everything. Simonis dives into the pits, and it couldn't have been at a better time, because here comes the surface water. I said, what could be worse than this? It could be rain. And as soon as I said that, down comes the rain. So, who has got a long way to come? Well, some of these drivers here, Paz Kozas, Guy, Dariukas, Manfredas, they are all in big, big trouble, trying to make it to the end of this lap and put on some wet tyres. Simonis was close enough for it to benefit him. He's got the intermediate tyres on, which will run him to the end. Now, the problem is, if it rains too heavily, he could find that halfway round this lap on lap 7, he's going to need wet tyres. For a minute there, I thought MT96 was coming out on racing soft tyres, but he's not. He's on the intermediate tyres. Timosius into the pits. Fizz Rucker staying out on the medium compound racing tyres. That is going to absolutely screw his race. Big, big mistake from him. Big mistake from Las Vegas as well. As we see already, the surface water screwing him. He spins. That charge that he was going to make the 3rd over. Absolutely over. Fizz Rucker's in trouble. Las Vegas in trouble. Timosius, he comes out on those intermediate tyres. He will easily catch Fizz Rucker's and Las Vegas, who, for whatever crazy reason, decided that the best option for them was to stay out on racing tyres. Actually, I think anybody that put intermediates on is going to be wishing very shortly that they put on the full wets, because it is absolutely teeming down now here at Nordschleife. Fizz Rucker's in big trouble. Here comes Timosius through. Ronnie's in the pits. Is he going to go full wet? I think full wet is the way forward. Now, Wendigo, if he puts full wets on here and repairs that damage, he might be 1 minute behind Simonis now. But when it goes to full wet, he could close that gap. This race is not over by a long shot. We might be on the last lap here at Nordschleife, but already look at the surface water. Look at the difference in pace. Those intermediate tyres are just about useful with the amount of surface water we've got. Does it keep raining? Does it dry up? That's the question. If this continues to get wet, then the wet weather tyres are the only solution. So we'll go down the order. Mr. J still not made it to the pits. He's going to be struggling to get it back. Shady's on the intermediates. He went on to the intermediates a lap earlier. Now, did he know something that nobody else did? Clearly he did, because he popped onto those intermediate tyres. Does that bring him into play later on? Because he's got Manfredas on the softs in front of him. He's got Audriox on softs in front of him. He's got Dariukas on mediums facing the wrong way, hitting the wall. It's all gone horribly wrong. Guy's on the intermediate tyres. He could come back into this now. Paz Kozas, he's gone for the intermediates. Wendigo also gone for the intermediates, but it is just starting to dry up a little bit. It was at one stage very, very wet. But the rain stopped as quickly as it started, which just means the intermediates are just about viable. So Fizruckas has gone for the racing meet. Well, to be fair, has Las Vidas and Fizruckas been quite smart here in the fact that they know that eventually the racetrack's going to dry out. Maybe I called it too early that they made a mistake. We'll see. I mean, they've cost themselves top three. Whatever happens, they've cost themselves top three. I think Simonis, 18 seconds clear. I think he's tied up this championship. This is his race in that BRZ. 17 seconds clear of MT96, also on the intermediate tyres as they're coming round to the tricky section at the top of the racetrack. 33 seconds back to Timosius, who's on the intermediate tyres. He's 8 seconds clear of Las Vidas, but Las Vidas started to find some pace despite the track being wetter than I was going to say something really rude then. And that's the problem, because you're going to catch a wet patch and do some damage. That's why I still think he should have put on the intermediate tyres. So it doesn't matter how quick you are, when the track evolves, you've got too much work to do. I mean, let's face it, he's doing a bloody good job of keeping the car on the road. But could it be that he just didn't buy the tyres? I suppose it's conceivable that he didn't have them in the locker to put on, so he had no choice. Fizruckas 6 seconds behind. He's got a lot of damage front and rear. He is going to be losing a lot of time. He's on the medium tyres, and the reigning champion for at least one more lap anyway, 20 seconds back. Potential top 5 finish for him. Also potential top 5 finish for Rollers if Las Vidas and Fizruckas can't get these cars dialed back in, or the weather come back to them. So who would have thunk it? The rain would come down and absolutely mess up all the game plans. Simonis was the fastest man on the racetrack. He did that on lap number 2 with a 6:28.2. Anyone that's just joining us, this is what's happened. Las Vidas was on pole. He made a mistake from pole on lap 1, sent himself flying all the way down the order, had to pit. Hasn't really been able to recover too well. Then the rain comes down. Some went in, some got the intermediate tyres, some had some way to go before they put on the intermediate tyres. Las Vidas and Fizruckas decided that they were too special for the wet weather tyres, and have decided that they are far too boss for all that palaver and can take this to the end on the racing tyres. It's 22 seconds. It's cost them third place. So Las Vidas ahead of Fizruckas. He's 23 seconds behind Timosius. Who is 7.5 seconds behind Fizruckas, who is in the wall again with damage, and Danius D closing that gap at a rapid rate of knots. And here he comes into the top 5. Danius D puts on the intermediates, does the right thing, and says, bye-bye, Fizz. Off you go back into the depths. And you should have put on the inters. Fizruckas, will he drop into the clutches of Rollins next? I think maybe he might. He's got significant car damage as well, and no opportunity to do anything about it. So, but here is your race leader, and to be fair, he's been dominant since he's been in this competition. He has been very, very dominant. He has not finished outside the top 3 in any race he has participated in. He hasn't won until last week, but sometimes that's all you need. It's just to consistently finish in the top 3. He missed the first 2 weeks, had to use his tokens for those 2. Came in race number 3 with a nice solid third, and fastest lap, of course. He won race number 4. He was third again in race number 5 with the fastest lap. Then he got second to Las Vidas, second again to Las Vidas, third with Las Vidas winning in race number 8. Then last week, no Las Vidas. And who pops up with a win? Yes, that's right, Simonas. So when Las Vidas hasn't been here, Simonas has won. And this will be another win from him. But this time Las Vidas is there, but couldn't keep his car on the road. He's 14.9 seconds clear. And here he comes to win here at Nordschleife and to be the new LRC GR3 champion. Congratulations to Simonas. He kept the car in there. He kept the racing going. Nicks the lead of the championship last race and is now the champion. MT96 King Bob will bring that GTR home. He will finish third place in the championship. Good solid racing from him. He has been there or thereabouts in the top three pretty much all season as well. Just hasn't been able to nick some top positions. But Simonas is your new champion. Put your hands together for that boy. Timosius, good solid third place from him. To be fair, expected more from him this season, but he has. He's had a few accidents and stuff, but he's come good here at Nordschleife. He had the right idea. He puts on those intermediate tyres, and he's got himself home in third. Good solid performance from him. That'll move him up. That'll earn him a few more quid, because it's 50 juicy euros coming to Simonas for winning this championship. It's 40 juicy euros for MT96 coming third. Las Vidas will make it home. Top three was definitely on the cards for him until he chose not to put on the intermediate tyres. But the fact that he's made it home on this lap is nothing short of amazing driving on racing tyres in the wet. Danish D comes home in fifth. He was the reigning champion when he started this race. Has to hand the crown now over to Simonas, but put those intermediate tyres on, hunted down Fizrukas and made it into fifth place. Here comes Rollis, another good, solid midfield performance from him. He comes home in sixth. Fizrukas does make it home in seventh. He didn't go for the wet tyres. Paz Kozas, he did. He finished in eighth. Wendigo, who led this championship for so long, went into this race with some hope. All he knew he had to beat Simonas. Lost the lead of the championship last week. Will now come home in ninth place. And I'm going to be brutally honest, I think his biggest mistake was switching out the 911 for this Mazda. And I know he felt that this car was a little bit quicker, but you only need to look at the results to see that he was performing better in the 911. So I think that might be what cost him this championship. But still, second place in this championship is no mean feat when you've got drivers like Simonas, like Las Vidas, like King Bob, like Guy, like Rollis, all in this competition. Absolutely phenomenal performance from Wendigo to lead all that time. Guy comes home, same car, in 10th place, just 3/10 behind. He will just finish just outside that top three. Or will Las Vidas jump? I don't think he will now. Las Vidas won't jump in. So he finishes in the top four. Can't usurp King Bob and get into that top three, but does finish fourth in the championship, which will be 35 juicy euros for him. And then, that's your top 10. So there is your top 10 in the race here. But what a race from Simonas. Dominated from the moment he took the lead. Was never in doubt. And he is your new LRC champion, GR3 champion. And what a finish from him. Bearing in mind that he didn't even race the first two races. So there we go. We've done 10 weeks. This has been a phenomenal 10 weeks of racing. And actually, I don't know what I'm going to do myself on a Sunday evening now. I've been looking forward every week. I've been really looking forward to doing this on a Sunday. It's been a bit of an emotional journey. It's been 2.5 months I've spent with you guys doing this tournament, and it's been absolutely brilliant. But I am looking forward to our little TV team coming up from next week. That is going to be good fun. So at least we get to see each other again for another few weeks. But I cannot wait. Until you do your new season. And hopefully you'll have me back to broadcast it yet again here on Black Flag TV. But all that's left for me to say really is to thank everybody that's tuned in and been involved over this last 10 week of racing. Big congratulations to Simonas. He is your new LRC GR3 Lithuanian champion. He is the best driver in GR3 that the Lithuanians have to offer for us here on GT7. Congratulations also to Wendigo and King Bob, who round out the top three. But well done to everybody that was involved. Right through to Romus and Kostia. who didn't really, didn't get involved, or Milkman who put his name down but didn't get involved. But you've got people like Capras and Vidukas and Manfredas who been around there at the back. Mr. J. Mr. J's showed a bit of improvement over the last couple of weeks as well. You've all been racing in there, in and around the back, but sticking with it the whole time, not giving up. Ordriox, Atanas, Shady. Shady, who's for me most improved since he switched out that car. The Aston Martin very much improved. Arminis in the Supra, good solid performance from him. Daniel Steve, reigning champion, who managed to get himself. I think he's just nicked himself to the top 10 here. I think. Tomosius came good at the end. Fizz Ruckus, Dariukas, Paz Kozas, Rollins and Las Vidas, but especially Rollins for getting me involved in this. So thank you very much, and we'll show you what the prize pool is. There we go. So that's what the top 10 will receive. It's €50 for Simonis, 45 for Wendigo, €40 for King Bob, be 35 for Guy, and then the rest, which I'm not going to work out. It's not my job to do that. I'll let Ronnie's work out the final figures. But congratulations to everyone. Thank you for letting me be involved. Going to just part of the quick video about Mind. I'd love it for you to get involved in that if you can. Also left for me to say is I've been part of this. Has been Black Flag Racing TV with the Lithuanian GR3 National Championships, which is now over. Simona's crowned your champion. It's been emotional.
Mental health problems affect 1 in 4 of us. Join Mind now in the fight for mental health.
A donation of £20 could help 167 people take their first steps in getting mental health support through Mind's booklets.
of lyrics and fireplaces driving me. All that